Okay, first things first, I'll eat your brains, and I'm gonna start rocking gold teeth and fangs, cause that's what a fucking monster do. Here, taller than. Oh, okay. James Corden brought Nicki Minaj on the carpool karaoke. So if you're the kind of person who can suffer James, you should do that. Happy birthday to me. Hello, Las Vegas. Thank you, my
Happiest of happy
mother.
birthdays to you, my
I'm gonna go
darling
see that
co-host,
Pretty Woman. Well, not that Pretty Woman, but I'm gonna go see the original
your
Pretty
mom.
Woman in a couple of hours over at their house.
Yay!
Hey, Chloe. Good to see everybody. Welcome to the show, known as sometimes the Backpack Show.
You might have noticed that Chris has a different setup today.
Yeah, I apologize.
You
I'm in the
know,
Venetian Hotel in beautiful Las Vegas.
I feel like you should tear those drapes down and turn it into a suit, like all Scarlett O'Hara style or something. Real
Oh, I like it.
fringy and yeah, I like the color. But I'm so excited about today because I love horror movies and horror novels. Bless you. And I've always been into like those kinds of stories. Bless you. You're allergic to the Venetian, is what it is. It's time for
Yeah.
you to leave and go somewhere else. Go to your mom's house, your mom and dad's house. So we're going to talk with V. Castro, Latina horror author. She has a book coming out about aliens Vasquez. And I'm so excited because that was one of my favorite characters that I wanted to see more about. And that
Vasquez.
was that was just it. Like you never you didn't know anything else about her. You got very little tiny tidbits like from interviews and stuff about her background, but they didn't cover a lot of it in the movie. And I, for one, am very excited. I've already pre-ordered the book, which comes out in October. So we're going to talk to V. Castro about her writing career, her horror novels, and of course about aliens Vasquez.
It is
Happy
gonna be
birthday, my
amazing.
biological son.
Yay! Thanks, Dad.
Hi, everyone. Tim Kitzrow from NBA Jam and NFL Blitz, welcoming you to The Backpack Show. Your hosts, Chris Brogan, Kerry Gargone, Boom Shakalaka.
Backpack Show.
I love that he served that back to you.
I
Do
love it.
you want to take a couple sponsors before we get me out here real quick?
Are you the
Hey,
best?
do you want to have an audio podcast? Castos.com makes it stupid easy. Give it a try, even if you've used the other one for a long time. This one makes it easy enough that even Chris will do it. Hey, do you want a video show or an online domain? You could get your .online domain for less than $1. Just use the code Chris, all caps, cbrogan.me/online. Hey,
Hey.
do you want to do a video show like this one? Get your own Latino horror author. Go to cbrogan.me/StreamYard and it makes it super easy to run all the things. I had people asking me to do shows with them after the pandemic started and everybody had a show. And I was like, dude, you don't need me. You just need StreamYard. They saw me doing this one and thought I was really good and stuff. And I was like, it's StreamYard. It's really, really easy. Hey, if you want to use a search engine that isn't the other one, try pre-search. It's a damn fine search engine, but also you get crypto rewards for using it. You just have to be logged in. I love their story. We interviewed the founder. If you ever want to check it out, Colin Pape. He started pre-search because Google really did a number on local businesses where he was with their like on purpose because they wanted to rank some of their own pages. So he started pre-search, and I think that's a pretty good search engine. So go check it out. Look, we did it. Now let's talk about horror novels and all kinds of things. I'm so excited.
Yes, we have V Castro on, and
Hi. Happy
great to see you.
birthday.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Hey Vasquez, have you ever been mistaken for a man?
Oof.
Have you?
There you go. Woo!
Ooh.
What? I cannot believe you were gonna
Órale.
make the book Vasquez about the aliens, the aliens world, all
Yeah.
around the best character who had the least to do in a movie since Boba Fett.
But
But
just like
she's,
Boba Fett, people loved her.
I know, she is iconic. She's gorgeous. She's strong. She's got it all. And I am just honored to kind of flesh out her story based on the existing canon, what little we know from bits and pieces, interviews, what was already created. So I took those little puzzle pieces and fleshed it out into her backstory and then took it further for her legacy. And that was really fun. And it is fun. Um, I'm in my 40s, so I grew up watching those films. Yeah, it's really it's been an exciting time, and it's been a long time coming. So I'm excited.
And
Yeah.
in Aliens, I'm going through Vasquez's lines, of which there's approximately like 26. So it's not like, you get a lot to work
And
on
yet,
here,
right?
right?
She's
Yeah,
one
I
of the most
mean,
memorable characters in the movie.
exactly. I mean, I think again, it's taking these people who these characters that people adore, but at the time they're just it wasn't something that was pursued, and now times have changed and people want different stories. People want representation. um I'm Mexican American, and that experience is so rich and beautiful and valid, and it matters. And to be able to take my culture and really put it into and breathe life into her through that, to show you, well, where did she grow up? At Easter there's these things we make called cascarones, which are emptied eggs filled with confetti, and you smash people on the head with them for fun. And because of the
I
egg
feel
of
like we should do
Alien,
this all year long.
because of the egg in Alien, and the egg, the importance in making cascarones, I weaved those two together. So you get a
Amazing.
bit of foreshadowing, but you also get a bit of me, of her, and so that has
Right.
been really cool.
I want to keep going with Vasquez for a minute. I know we have so many
Yeah,
other books to cover, but
yeah.
I in rereading this, I was kind of like, holy cow. Because, like, I know you must do this too. When we go back and we look at 80s series or something like that, we're like, ooh, that did not age well. Somebody said, somebody thought they said illegal aliens, and that's why you signed up, Vasquez. And I was
Yeah,
like, oh, geez. And
there
then,
are so many things. Yeah.
yeah. And then basically the only way that you know that she's a Latina is that she says pendejo every couple of, lines. And that's it. Like, that's the scoop, and that's as much as they could have thought of putting in rich Latin culture. So how are you going? I mean, besides, obviously background scenes and that sort of a thing, how do you bring some of that? How do you, beyond the language, is there a mindset that we're going to start to understand a little differently? Is there going to be how do relationships work? And again, realizing that this is a book about a girl who kills bugs.
Yeah. No, I think so. For example, in my own background, and a lot of Latinos, they, there's military in their blood. A lot of Mexican Americans signed up for the military. Mine included. My uncle's was a Marine. My great grandfather, Air Force. My dad was in the Army. The military has given a lot of people access to healthcare, to the GI Bill, for education, for a lot of different things, different benefits. And so, I've taken that history and put it in there. And I've taken again, in Mexican history, you have the soldaderas. They were the Mexican female soldiers who fought in the wars. And I brought that into it. So I've just let my imagination go wild and take parts of me, parts of my history, parts of um, Aztec history, parts of Mexican American history, and have put it in there. I was like, why not? We need to see this. It's important. And again, like you mentioned, Chris, there's only like bits and pieces in the film, and to have an actual book, an 85,000 word book, I could really dig deep and put, and that's what I did, especially when I went for her legacy and her children and her siblings.
This is big news. So people have been waiting for this story for a long time.
Yeah.
Entertainment Weekly just shared the cover like maybe 2 weeks ago, and it's gorgeous. So first of all, look at her back. That just makes me want to get back to the gym. Like, I've been avoiding it for 2 years because of the pandemic, but damn, I want to get right back there. And it's obviously she looks really strong, but I imagine that given the limited screen time she had and how it ended in Aliens, that in the book you're going to be going back and telling us her story,
Yes.
from before.
Yes.
And if you mentioned her kids, did we even know she had kids like in the movie?
No, I totally, it's because you have to say, like, okay, how do we, everybody knows how she dies, and that small snippet of her time, but it was because of her age in the film. Through the script, she was quite young, so it's really difficult to bring the xenomorphs into her life because that was her first encounter. So how do you write an entire alien book when she only encountered the xenomorphs for a very small time? So what I did was do her backstory, where you understand from what James Cameron and Jeanette Goldstein and what they came up with, the bits and pieces of her backstory from the film, scripts, interviews, took those bits and pieces and then created a wider backstory, and why she has children, because then I could create a full alien novel, because then her daughter and her son encounter them, and you can really go even deeper into her legacy and what she stood for, what her family stood for, and of course, taking Latinos to space. Taking Latinas to space.
Now, have people take issue with the fact that the actress who played her was not Latina. So how do you work with that? Like, does it matter at all? Because it's a fictional character. So when you're writing the book, I mean, she's authentically who she is.
Yeah, I mean, and that's why it's important that I'm writing this story, is because, I've lived that.
Dean's asking, does having such a sparse background to work with give you more freedom to sculpt the character?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Considering, thank you, Dean. That's a great question. Basically, yeah, I could just, like I said, incorporate some of my experiences, my history, all these things that are wonderful in Latinx culture, and get really creative. So yeah, it was great. And but being a Latina, to be able to write a Latina character, I think is really important, because yeah, Jeanette Goldstein, she wasn't, but that was, like I said, a different time. There were, I mean, you had Maria Conchita Alonso, who's amazing. I love her as an actress. I mean, she was in Predator 2, Colors, but there were very few back then that really had a lot of spotlight. So, again, the past is the past. We're in the here and now. And now we can change things. Now we can say, you know what? I am going to order those books. I am going to signal to publishing, to Hollywood, to all these industries that we want authentic stories from authentic voices. And the more we support creators from marginalized community, the richer our entire world can be. And,
well, that's
and
the
possibly
only way to do it.
Yeah.
So you don't know what you don't know. Like, if somebody asked me to play a Latina character and try to flesh it out, I wouldn't have the grounding to. I'm Boston Irish, right? So I mean, it's surprising to me that they would even consider that in the first place. Let's get people with the background to help you build those characters.
They never saw you in West Side Story. That's why.
That's fair. I was really
I want to swap it up only because people are going to leave this thing thinking this is like your first book or something, given that we spent 15 minutes on it. But I really, honestly, I could talk another 40 minutes just about.
I know, because I'm such a nerd.
Vasquez and Aliens. But such a fine feature.
Two-time Bram Stoker Award nominee.
Yes.
Goddess of Filth, Queen of the Cicadas, Mestiza of Blood.
Yes.
And so these are scary books. And the way, okay, so I won't get into the details of all of them, but you weave them throughout with mythology that the like scary stories that you heard as a kid, like the boogeyman type equivalent stories designed to scare you into behaving. Like they all make their way.
Oh, yes,
into these
absolutely.
Books. And they're scary as hell. So even to Boston Irish, like I was believing that. So.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, there's a lot of, I grew up, with a lot of folklore, oral tradition is huge. A lot of urban legends. So I took, history, Mexican history, Aztec history, and, looked at indigenous beliefs. Not everything is Christian. And I wanted to bring those stories back to life. So both of these books, I use history, the Latina experience. So this is both are based in Texas.
Can I see
And
them
then
again? I want to look at those
oh
covers now. You got a lot to live up to now because the other cover. Oh yeah, nice.
yeah, this is a novella, so it was it's a quick read, and then this is a novel.
Which one was
And
the
so
one that was inspired by your dream? So I have to ask.
oh, okay, that is with my that's with my agent, Maria the Wanted. It's actually a vampire, Latina border vampire story. And fingers crossed it gets picked up. I would love to, because that was my first book, and it was such a pleasure to write.
All right. I want to go back to your bruja before we talk about your
Yeah.
vampire again, because again, these cultures, bruja is a word that people don't even know. Like, it's just not a thing. Oh, sorry, we have Elizabeth too. Okay.
Sorry, Elizabeth says it's important, and I got tired of being told to look at telenovelas or Kardashians rather than people who accomplished something more. Had to find my own heroines that were Latinas.
Absolutely, and that's basically what you see in both of these books, and also in so for anyone who is a werewolf fan, you love werewolf lore. I'm Mexican American. I wouldn't turn into a werewolf. I'd turn into a jaguar. So I wrote my own. Yeah. So you can get this one if you like werewolf lore, Jaguar Shifters, because again, taking back the culture, taking back where this is set in Texas, and you've got, also sex positivity. She's a sex worker, but so the fuck what? Sorry, so what? But yeah, and even more so, Mestiza Blood, which is my new collection, is all urban legend, folklore, La Lechuza. And you just get, I just go wild with my imagination because, again, it hasn't been done. Not a lot of people are taking those rich histories and putting them to paper. And I'm so honored and so grateful that, publishers are wanting to showcase my work. And the best part of the job are other Latinas, other people saying, I didn't know that. Or oh my God, I can't believe you know that. Or I felt so seen. And I'm like, yes, girl, yes. So that is so empowering, not just for me. I'm just the storyteller. I'm just the vessel. The fact that people get something bigger from it is so rewarding, and it makes this job, even when it's slow and you're waiting or you're get a rejection, that's what keeps you going, is that the rewards are greater than what you can see, because you don't always see how your book, your words, your own story, how it will inspire or affect someone else. So that's important.
So you blend English, Brogan. You blend a lot of sexuality and erotica into all your books in different ways. Like there's different levels. So, I mean, some are meant to be like erotic, and some are meant to be like, ooh, I feel a tingle as I'm on the way to my death. Sexuality, of course, is very important to the culture as well. But my question is, in what ways, do you feel like sometimes it can be distracting to the primary story? Do you feel like people get into the wrong part of the mind at the story? How do you mix this with your intents for your plot? Because for me, erotica has a very different ending for me, literally, than if I'm reading for entertainment or something. So how do you use the tools of erotica versus the tools of writing to get you where you want to go? And I know erotica is writing, but with me.
How many times can you use erotica in one sentence?
I just want to say that word one more time.
Because, and I'm not, I know there are people that it is not important and they have a different feeling towards sexuality and sex in general and desire. But for me and the characters, I mean, it just is kind of a natural part of life. So why ignore it? I got here because of sex. There was a story behind that encounter. There was a story behind how my parents got together. And so it, for me, is just like a natural thing. having those desires or suppressed desires or those experiences, to me, it's just kind of part of life. And it's not something I want to ignore, and it's something I want to freely express. So obviously it's not gratuitous. It's not there for the hell of it. But it just feels right to talk about it in certain scenes. I just want to, and it's part of the story. I don't hold back or say, oh, maybe this, maybe that, or oh, I want to make it more titillating, because I just want it to be what it is. And if an editor's
Right.
like, oh, this doesn't work, we need to pull back, okay, great. Because I'll write it, and that's what editors are good at. You need some distance from your work. So if something doesn't work, I'm open-minded.
They're like, there's too much sex. You need to roll it back. None of us are having this much sex.
So yeah, so I just, it's just how it just is the way the story progresses in my mind, and once I write it.
We have a bunch of good questions, and I guess I'll defer to those before I ask my next one.
Okay.
Dean's nerding out a little bit. How or when did you know you wanted to do Latina/horror writing?
Well, I guess that's one of the ones.
As opposed to, say, being an accountant.
That was one of the
Was the
questions I
spark?
had, because I heard, but let me jump over Dean for a second, because I heard that there was a dream involved. And 2 days ago, I had this like horrible dream where I woke up really sad. Like, I don't know if you ever have one of those dreams, you wake up and you feel all this yuck still from in the dream, and you're like, come on, that was just a dream. Like, shake it off, idiot. And I did, and I like cried, and it was like awful morning. And but that's the opposite of what happens when you decide, I have a crazy dream and I wake up and be a writer. What was the dream?
Well, it was actually, I was at a really difficult point in my life. And I did not know. I was a stay-at-home mom for a long time, and I reached a point where I felt like there was something more. There was something missing. And it was one night, and I just kind of had reached an emotional crisis, and I just said, what am I doing here? What am I doing? And not that, being a mom wasn't fulfilling, but there was still, it's not the end all be all. And there were other things going on, personally, and I needed something. And then weeks passed, and then I had this dream, and I was like, holy shit, wow, that was weird and cool. And I just opened my laptop. This was 2016, and I just started writing, and I continued writing, and I haven't stopped. I just have gone, it just has flowed. And the dream was of Maria the Wanted. It was of these vampires in this really strange world. And I think I wrote that 80 to 90,000 word novel in like 3 months or something. I would write on my phone when my child was in soft play. I just wrote nonstop. And yeah, so it just flowed, and then here I am still doing it, and it's
You're
just
our second guest to find a whole new career because you had a dream. We had Philip Ashley Ricks on. I don't know what he was doing before. I can't remember, but he had a dream that he was like Willy Wonka, and then he became a chocolatier. And it's
yeah. I mean, so I think, my heart and my soul was reaching out for something, and it was always meant to be. I mean, I have a big stack of stories and like little mini books that I wrote when I was like 6, 7, 8, 9, and I don't remember creating these. And my mom sent them to me, and they're these little books with these crazy drawings. And I've always been a bookworm. I've always loved reading, and I studied political science and history in college, and it just. The timing was right. I had to be that person, that version of me at that time of place to start. And I have to be the version of me now to continue and to write what I'm writing and to reach people and to just be true and authentic.
Elizabeth said a little bit back about, taking back Native American heritage that's been mixed by all the aspects of the European and the other influences, in her case, Jewish as well. So she's excited about that. I thought so too. I love that there's such a mix and a blend. And Leslie says, to follow on, I love it because it's so great that they can teach you about other cultures and traditions while entertaining.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm reading one now from a First Nation horror author, Wabgashig Rice. I don't know if you've read any of his stuff.
No.
It's just post-apocalyptic, the one I'm reading now.
Oh, cool.
Type book.
No.
Really good stuff. And I'm learning. So as I'm mentioning, like he weaves in the culture, all the characters are in a remote community living together when it gets sort of cut off and nobody knows what's going on.
My earring fell off. And they're big scorpion earrings.
It's an omen. Oh no!
I'll just take the other one off. Look. Big scorpion ones for fun.
Dean says, I'm sorry, this show needs to be 8 hours long. It's too much to cover.
Oh, thank you, Dean.
Well, I agree, but there are many, many books that you should read. So we should have like a book club, like a B. Castro book club.
Yeah. Oh, God. Honestly, thank you so much. Like, you guys, it keeps me writing. The more books you buy, the more I write. And what I'm really on a roll for is I want as many pre-orders for Vasquez so I can write another one. And I would love to write a Predator book too.
Ooh, really? That would be amazing.
I want to put more bad brown women up in space, honey.
I pre-ordered it already. Go and get it. I think it's October that it will come out. So I ordered
October 25th, yeah.
I ordered the hardcover because I love like just receiving actual books.
Yeah.
And then forgetting like when I ordered them, and then they're like, it's like Christmas.
Yeah.
They just show up one day.
Then do you perceive some kind of a weird, I don't know, this is crazy to even think about, but you write this Aliens book, you write this Predators book. What if there was like Aliens versus Predator? Like, do you think you could see something?
I would totally write that. I would write that.
Vasquez versus Predators.
You know what? Unfortunately, I did pitch that, but to keep it canon. So I'd have to create another character, which I would be more than happy. And my agent has another science fiction novel looking for a home called Undocumented. And, yeah. Mm-hmm. So more mayhem, more Latinas causing trouble in space, but on the moon and Mars and Earth.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sorry, I actually was sitting there thinking all about that series and going, this would be great. Well, let me ask this question, because you horror and vampires and Bruja. We didn't even talk to the Bruja. I've got to get back to her. Because Latin religious culture is so much more colorful than European religious culture. In European religious culture, there's a bunch of people in white clothes, reciting crap until you can't see straight anymore.
And they do not write about sex in their books.
No, they don't.
Except to say, just don't.
And they just talk about demons kind of glancingly, like there's probably some demons. Whereas, in Goddess of Filth, I mean, that's one of the things. Sin eating is in your book, and that whole concept of, just all the the richness that
I would need like a compulsive sin eater.
It's a whole other thing. So I guess I was thinking is there's so much rich religious territory that gets mixed in with the sexuality, that gets mixed in with the tradition and culture stuff. It feels different than if you're writing in kind of the sterility of space. How do you take that on into your brain?
Well, so for Aliens, it was quite easy because she was on Earth, and her aunt has an altar in her home, and that's how they honor Jenette, and the ancestors. And I don't want to give too much more away. But she does take it up with her, literally. All I'll say again is lovely tattoos again, very beautiful. So she does take and have some, you do get that taken to space. And but in Undocumented, it's not hardcore sci-fi, but again, it has less of the religion as opposed to Goddess of Filth, Mestiza Blood, and the Queen of Cicadas, where I do actively use goddesses from the history, and a few other books that are in the works as well. So I just once again I just go with my gut. I just go with my intuition. When I get an idea, I just go with it, and just whoever wants to show up and say like, I want to be in this book in my mind, then they're in that book. I don't outline. Well, I had to outline this because it's for a studio,
Right.
but
Yeah, they made you.
They want you to show your work.
yeah, well, also it has to stick with what's been done already. So, but everything else, I just kind of off the cuff. I don't outline. I just sit there and write it until it's done.
Why horror? Dean wanted to know.
Oh, okay. Oh, wait.
Oh, he said as opposed to being an accountant, but that's clearly
yeah,
not on the table for you as a history major. So come on, Dean.
Oh, I said it already. I said that already. But I had the dream, and I reached a point in my life where I needed something,
but horror in particular, just that.
Oh, horror in particular.
Yeah.
We talked about this earlier. Basically, I grew up, I'm almost 43. So I watched all those old Chud, Demons, The Exorcist,
Lost
Fright
Boys.
Night, Lost Boys, all of those films. I grew up watching horror, but also culturally hearing about La Llorona, La Lechuza. One of my birthdays, my mom took me to Donkey Lady Bridge and the train tracks where, a busload of kids were run over. I mean, I grew up all these different stories, and actually those stories that I grew up with, the urban legends and the folklore, are in here. So Donkey Lady Bridge, 2 stories about La Lechuza, a bunch of different things. But again, horror, just because I grew up reading Alvin Schwartz when I was little, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. It's just been always there. Yeah, it's just, again, you like what you like.
And horror movies make you Randy, so that's why all the sex in the books. It all comes together.
It's all one package. I did have to give super extra credit to Elizabeth for saying, and don't forget your towel in space.
Woo!
Douglas Adams. Is there a setting or genre or space in the system where you also want to drag Latina women into it? Like, I mean, enough pencils, enough typewriters, enough monkeys, I know, but like, is there one you're sitting there going, oh man, I'd love to do a Western or something like that?
Well, Maria the Wanted is kind of a Western, like
there we go.
Modern take. But I actually, I wrote 2 children's books that are currently on submission. So hopefully those will get picked up. And one of them.
Can you imagine if he Castro a children's book?
2 of them. 2.
Be good or you're going to die.
Well, one is a little cutesy take on Krampus, and the other is the something I grew up with, Pancho Claus, which is like the Mexican version of Santa. So fingers crossed. And I bring in the Aztec culture into that. So, but you do have like a lot of Latinx children's writers, middle grade. And so there is representation there. I also, the next books that I will write are crime, straight crime. So no supernatural. But yeah, two crime books. 2 crime ideas. And then I pitched one of my publishers a nautical horror collection. So we'll see what happens. So Latinas on the sea. Pirates, Latina pirates.
Latina pirates.
Let's settle for Latinas on Bridgerton if you can hook that up.
Wow. Nautical horror, do you mean things like H.P. Lovecraft, tentacle?
No, just
horror?
anything and everything around the water and the sea, boats.
Okay.
Yeah, just water shenanigans.
Could be, Jazzistas. I get it. Okay. Doesn't necessarily have to be that. Okay. I have a thought about that too. The question I wanted to ask you a little bit earlier, I'm going to try to bring it back into my head again. Oh, so there's a world out there that you have to kind of be at, you're a mom, you have to, do other things, you have to pay bills, you have to do all that kind of stuff. What, where do you put your writing on the shelf, or how do you kind of get back out into the real world for a minute? And how easy is it for you to transform back to cranking out the words?
Well, I work, when my children are with me, when they go to bed. Um, and then when they're not with me, then I just write regular, 9 to 5 and weekends and just whatever free time I have, which is a problem because then I end up just working all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I have to like schedule in rest. I have to schedule in taking a break and doing stuff for myself. But for the most part, it's just something that I easily can switch like that. I love music. I go to the gym almost every day. Like the first thing that I do is that's for me just like um and in a previous life before all of this I was I'm a certified personal trainer. I taught spin, so it's just like something I love, and I do part of my routine. It clears my mind. um but yeah, no, it's just, and also when I'm driving, I get some crazy ideas. When I'm on, at the gym, I'm doing exercise, your brain kind of goes into like, I don't know, fuzzy mode. You're not really thinking, and I'll get ideas then. And yeah.
It's wild.
That's like my brain's peripheral vision, like just out of
Yeah.
focus, you start to see things take shape.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
But
So go. You have to go and get this book. Pre-order
Vasquez,
Aliens Vasquez. And while you're waiting for it, go get the rest of them. They're really good.
yes, thank you
I have
guys.
the audio version of Queen of the Cicadas is available on Audible, so go and get that.
It
Okay.
is. Yeah, and actually Goddess of Filth has been picked up
Yay.
to be made into an
Ooh.
audiobook. So fingers crossed, that's going to be a process.
Love
But yeah,
audiobooks.
yeah, it's going to be an audiobook. So I'm really excited about that.
I'd like to
And
point out for your nautical sense of things that Elizabeth is getting her captain's license, so she's going to be a Latina out
Not-
on the way.
Write her into your nautical horror books.
yeah, absolutely. That sounds awesome. Yeah, I love the water. I love the ocean. I love going to the beach. So that's something I try to do as much as I can, is drive to the coast and just be near the water. It relaxes me and it just makes me feel super at ease. So
I don't think any of us will feel at ease on the water after your horror comes out, your nautical horror comes out. I'll never feel the same way about like plantation weddings. There's like a lot of things you've ruined for me.
well,
Did you pick a person of the day yet, Chris?
Yeah, we're going to. Let's throw Dean's last comment on, which made me laugh out loud. Side note, the Selma Hayek dance scene from Dusk Till Dawn impacted me in ways I'm not even
I
ready to
love
share.
it. I love that. That's probably, I saw that, and that's one of my favorite scenes in a horror film. I love it too, Dean.
Gosh, Dean, I bet you're the only one.
Yeah, no one's ever felt anything for it.
I love Selma, and I would love if, God willing, any of my books will be made into films. I would love Selma to be in one of them. I don't care in what capacity. But yeah, that scene is insane, and I just loved her power, her beauty, and that actually inspired me to write it started as a novella, but I need to make it into a novel now, a character. Not too long ago, a long time ago, I self-published a 3-story erotic horror collection called Sed de Sangre, which translates to bloodlust. And I wrote a story that was very spicy, and that image was in my head, that Salma Hayek character. And in like Aztec history, culture, serpents are very important. So you get that. And I always thought she's like one of those characters. They did do Dust Till Dawn, the TV show, and you get to see more of her. Isa Gonzalez, who is amazing. I love Isa Gonzalez. But I took a different kind of take on it. And so once I can get my, stuff in gear, I can finish that novel. You get more.
Sounds important. Okay. We've hit a certain time in our show.
Oh, and here's our person of the day. Kaboom!
We've almost filled this hour, by the way, and we know that we could talk to you much more, but we're going to have to not do that. I have been back and forth this entire episode because we've had two really, great commenters. And I think if Collins had gotten here at the beginning, he was busy with something like that. It would have been 3 because Collins gets right into this stuff too. He's a very pop culture guy. But because I know that I've given it to Elizabeth a couple times recently, I'm going to give it to Dean. So,
yay!
Dean's our person today.
Thank you, Dean, for all your questions.
Dean has just very recently transitioned from a very long career at a very storied corporation into the great unknown. So, I feel like he could really connect with your writing right now. And he has a little extra time to read it.
Or write
cool.
his own.
Yes,
yeah, Dean, that's amazing. Pick up any of my books. You can connect with me on Twitter and Instagram at @VLatinaLondon. So.
Now you get an apple as person of the day, a free apple. You have to go to the store and buy it yourself. It's free to us. And then you wash it, and then I would bake it into a tartlet, but you might choose to slice it and have it with some almond butter. I don't know what your thing is. Congratulations, Dean.
Could be a thing. So now we're at the point of the show where we ask the same question we've asked every guest ever in the world. We've asked Sir Mix-a-Lot. We've asked Clowns Without Borders, Saida Trujillo. And we're going to ask you the same question. What goes in your backpack? Now, this could be something physical. It could be something metaphorical. Kerry, what's something physical someone could throw in a backpack?
An extra set of teeth. You just never know. DJ Cumberbund brought that to the table.
Well, what's something metaphorical someone could throw in a backpack then?
Oh, kindness. There's just never enough of it, is there?
Absolutely. Kindness.
Ariel Helvetica, burlesque performer. Said kindness.
So, Ms. Castro, what should we add to the backpack?
Headphones, because I love listening to my music. If I got my phone, I'd have my headphones. I just will zone out. Again, I just need that.
What's in heavy rotation right now? You're amongst friends. You can tell us if it's Baby Shark.
No, done. Heavy rotation. So the Queen of the Cicadas, Iron Maiden has a song called Fear of the Dark, which is kind of like the theme song for Vasquez. The two songs that I listened to over and over that really captured it was Dancing in the Dark, Bruce Springsteen, and also because of the lyrics. And I incorporate some of it into the book, and also Symphony of Destruction by Megadeth. And then I just typically will listen to classical, ambient, and it depends on the story, really. But I always have music on. I love writing to music, and I've written a lot of short stories where I've heard a song and I'm like, oh my God, I see this song as a story, and then I'll just write.
Great selection, Megadeth too, because watching him perform, for instance, in South America and Latin America, like for instance, the fans in Buenos Aires, they do this thing where they hum very loudly the guitar parts as well. So like, dun, 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 dun. There's like a whole stadium of people humming.
Yeah.
And it's like the nuttiest thing you ever saw. So, I mean, that is a great choice. They're all good. But.
Rodrigo y Gabriela are a Mexican guitar duo, and they do all of the classic metal. I mean, you guys, Rodrigo y Gabriela, are amazing, and they did Seasons of the Abyss in the Abyss by Slayer. It is such a hot cover, and they did Metallica's Orion, which I love, the original Orion by Metallica. Nice. But their version of Orion is just you just
well, I always feel like Trujillo plays it because he has to. I don't feel like it. I don't think he really vibes with that song. Now I got to hear what you're saying because
Rodrigo y Gabriela, check them out. They're really
I'm
good.
into it. All right. I love your choice of music. One thing my grandmother was really into was Judas Priest, which was
Ooh,
really
I love Judas Priest.
Huge fan. One of her
Turbo
favorites
Lover.
was Turbo Lover. She was a big fan of You Got Another Thing Coming.
Yes.
And then every now and again, I would hear her humming "Living After Midnight" while she's cooking. Would she be cooking? So she'd be like making some eggs.
It's a great song.
Yeah. But what I never did expect is what she did when I first played South of Heaven for her.
That was unexpected, I bet.